your motivations change as well when you get the post, and you maybe kind of starting a family and stuff, or you've recently bought a house, your motivations do change slightly as well, because life circumstances do come into the
You're not as
equation.
mobile, like you were saying.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you could do Leeds, you could do Chester, but then once family was solidifying and growing, Tell us how it's been transitioning from, you've been applying for dental core training year after year. Now you've been accepted at Birmingham, you're at the dental hospital. What's it like for you now transitioning? I know Birmingham is home, but what was it like?
I think so. As you mentioned, from a personal standpoint, it was a lot easier. So I had a lot more time available to me. I think from a clinical, as in a training aspect, that was something that I had to get used to. In the posts that we had before, such as your dental core training posts, they were very fast paced. So you'd only have a year in there. You'd have a 12-month period to do your projects. Get as much as you can out of those years, and then you're already applying 6 months into that post for your subsequent post. Whereas this was completely different. So I think getting used to that slower pace was challenging in the first instance, because you've got so much, I suppose, time on your hands, and you want to be doing something that's going to be progressing your pathway. You're progressing you down that pathway, but it's not always available at that time. So that was one thing. Getting used to doing a PhD, because that was the aspect that I was doing first as part of my training. That was a big kind of culture change and culture shock. So that was learning, kind of being in a lab, the basics of holding pipettes and working in kind of with antibodies, the various different aspects in an in vitro lab-based environment. That was a real challenge, I suppose, getting used to that. Specifically coming from a clinical background, where all my DCT posts were very kind of clinically driven. But I think after a couple of years of where I've managed to get a few successes under my belt, get some progress with my PhD, build some traction up, I think it's been very rewarding on the whole.
So you had the period of time where, in 1 year, sometimes you had weeks where you're working 9 to 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
What is your typical week?
So fortunately, it's not that bad now, because that was a max fax post with on-call, a 1 and 2 on-call. Now it's your standard 10-session week, 9 to 5, although we've had some evening sessions where I've been involved in some teaching in the evenings for the past 2 to 3 years. So my typical week on a 10-session week generally involves about 50% of the research. So that's progressing with the PhD, getting all those things, kind of the projects kind of underway, and progressing with those. And then the remaining 50% involves teaching and clinical aspects. When the clinical training kicks into full force, that's when the academic side, that 50% academic side of things, will transfer into clinical sessions.
Okay. Now that you're getting towards the late stages of specializing, has your perspective changed on what you want to get from the whole process to when you first went into it? Has your view on becoming a specialist changed? Has your goals shifted, with what you want to achieve with it? Yeah.
So I think, for me personally, I've always wanted to go into the program doing restorative dentistry. My PhD and this specialist examination that I've sat is very much endodontic focused, but my focus is slightly shifted on that way in this part of my career. But I still always wanted to do restorative dentistry. What I want to treat patients that have complex multidisciplinary needs, and that focus hasn't changed. In fact, I've been doing some clinics, ad hoc clinics on the oncology clinic in the past couple of weeks, and it really has kind of reinforced that kind of desire to want to treat those patients. And so for me, maybe because I was headstrong going into it, the pathways, it's not the expectation, and it hasn't changed for me much. But I'm aware of individuals who have gone along this long pathway. So they may have stopped at the PhD stage, or they may have stopped at the monospecialty stage. So it can change along that pathway. Yeah.
Now that you teach students, when you think back to your dental school days as a student, do you see some similarities between yourself and professors that used to teach you, or How is that for you now that you're on the other side? Yeah.
I think I had a really good experience with my tutors as an undergrad, and I'd like to think I hopefully provide that for the students now. I'm always grateful for that experience, so I do try and make sure that I impart that similar experience to the students here now. It's difficult to, I always give time to students that come to the office and want to do a few extra things and stuff. I'm really passionate about helping them develop, so I'd like to think I do try and give them that same experience, although I may kind of, with how busy things are with managing these various things and various plates, it can be difficult to do that all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure hearing the background to everything else that you're doing, it's certainly made me realize how much more lecturers can have on their plates.
Yeah.
It's not solely the teaching aspect. There's all these other arenas to be handling.
Yeah, I think COVID was a really big challenge as well. A lot of the syllabus had to be shifted, and we had to make a lot of adjustments, and it highlighted all the managerial aspects that go behind delivering a curriculum.
Yeah. What can a student expect who's thinking of coming to Birmingham Dental School?
I'd like to think that they could expect competent teaching. One of the things that are really good about the units is you have some really kind of world-leading clinicians delivering the teaching. So people like Phil Thompson, Professor Chappell, and others as well that have previously gone. Professor Walmsley was there, Professor Cambe on the orthodontic side. These are world-leading clinicians that are delivering the teaching and organising the teaching, so they can expect a comprehensive education on the dental aspects, on those various specialties. I'd like to think that they enjoy the facilities. It's a brand new hospital as well. It's one of the first built in recent years, and it's purpose-built for dentistry. I think it's the closest thing you're going to get to a kind of a private hospital for dentists. So it's really nice facilities. It's a kind of an earshot away from the main campus. So you can literally from the window or the entrance see the main campus, and you can go to there, which is it's a beautiful kind of area and beautiful buildings and a lot of greenery there. And hopefully that should provide a very good experience.
Yeah. And as somebody who grew up in Birmingham, and you return back to Birmingham, Birmingham must be a good place.
Yeah, no, it's where family is, and as I said, I'm very grateful that Birmingham gave me the opportunity to even be here, sitting here as part of their kind of access pathways. So I'm very grateful for the institute and the city as well. Yeah.
What would you say, or what sort of mark would you say you want to leave throughout your professional career when it's all said and done?
It's always nice to know that you've made an impact to students. It's really rewarding to always see students who come through the ranks and they then enter into their specialty training. There's a few that come to mind, and it's a real happy moment. So I think those would be the kind of experiences that I would like to continue having as part of this pathway.
For people that want to find out more information, so let's say in terms of specializing, the dental school, or maybe just to get in touch with yourself, what are the places you would?
So I think with regards to the dental school, we've clearly there's a website available to, and there's admissions tutors that are available to speak to about that in more detail. With regards to specialist training pathways, I'm more than happy to provide some advice if needed. You can always contact me on my email address. And there is a very nice flow diagram on the British Endodontic Society website as part of the Early Career Groups initiative that is currently happening, of various pathways that you can take to get onto specialist training. It's tailored to endodontics, but a lot of it can be maybe applicable and extrapolated to maybe other specialties as well. There is in this year coming up as well, an early career groups event as well, happening in London at the Royal College of Surgeons of England, and it's designed specifically for individuals who may want to consider going further into their training for endodontics specifically as well. It's occurring on the 1st of July, and you can head on to the British Endodontic Society website to identify how you can kind of enroll onto that.
Does that happen annually?
So this is the second year it's happening, and hopefully going to be an annual event. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for allowing us to come and speak with you. It's going to be of immense value to everybody listening.